Namaste and Swagatam to all of you and welcome. First, initially, we should be welcoming Lord Krishna, who is going to grace today's occasion. And so we have our Krishna here and hope you all like it. Of course, we have the crows and all of that because Krishna, in all his scenes, he had the different animals, not only people around him, but even creatures and the birds and everything were attracted. So it's very essential that we have all of it. So we'll start and welcoming you all to the 20th episode of Tell Me Appa. It's been quite a journey. Second season. That's the 20th episode. So you're going to have a lot of fun because Krishna means a lot of fun, lot of charm and lot of cheerfulness and everything. So hope we can cultivate our cheerfulness in us and keep smiling always. So we will pay our respects to Lord Krishna, who has been a divine contribution and the 9th avatar of the Dasavatarams of Lord Vishnu. So a full episode for him and we'll get started. So maybe as an introduction, we should know who Lord Krishna is, maybe a little about, his parents, and there are many stories because he wasn't just born like that. His birth itself was very full of essence and it was a miracle and everything. So maybe we should know a little about his family and maybe like an introduction to him so that we can get clarified on that.
Krishna is a wonderful character. In fact, it is the aspect of human evolution where consciousness comes alive in the human being. And that is why when we talk about Krishna, we are talking about the higher consciousness coming alive. And when the consciousness comes alive, there are many challenges. So if you look at Krishna's life, right from the time he was born or even before he was born, his challenges started right up to the end where he left the body. And so it is said that Krishna is an incarnation of Lord Mahavishnu, and primarily he came down to kill Kamsa. But then that is just the beginning of Krishna's story, and we'll be discussing a lot of stories regarding that. So when Krishna's mother and father, Devaki and Vasudeva, they got married. Kamsa is the brother of Devaki. And what happens is that when he is bringing the bridegroom and the bride, he is driving the chariot, a voice comes, Kamsa, this very couple who you are so happy about them getting married, their child, their 8th child is going to be born to kill you and destroy you. This aggravates Kamsa and he gets ready to kill Devaki, his sister. And at that time, Vasudeva, he says, Kamsa ji, please, you leave your sister, my wife. We promise to give you every child that is born to us. And so, 7 of the children are mercilessly killed by Kamsa, by dashing against the floor. And the night that Krishna is born, it's an Ashtami. Normally, Ashtamis are considered inauspicious. Ashtami Navami is inauspicious in most of our times. But with Krishna, it takes on auspiciousness. Because consciousness will transcend even the most inauspicious thing into auspiciousness. And so he is born and it is a stormy night. And suddenly they find the door of the cell floors open. The jailers are asleep. And at that time, Vasudeva carries Krishna across the river in Spate. And it is said the great Naga comes to protect them at that time by sheltering them in that downpour and leaves Krishna at Vrindavan in the house of Yashoda and Nanda. So right from the time Krishna is born, you find that there are challenges, and then he grows up with foster parents in Gokula, in Vrindavan, about which we'll see more. So Krishna is consciousness. Consciousness transcends all the inauspicious also. Inauspicious Ashtami becomes an auspicious Janma Ashtami when Krishna comes into incarnation.
So we got a brief introduction about Lord Krishna. So just to go into more detail, and as I would say, as I'm a student of Yognat, that we all love Dr. Sir's songs, and we do have quite a thing in our head that we love dancing to his songs. Now, of course, we learn different things. As you know, in Bharatanatyam, we have many compositions of the people who have composed in the past, which are really nice. But always, Dr. Sir's compositions are very dear to heart for all of us. And one such composition which we have danced and we love singing a lot is the Mugali Gana Vinoda Mohana Krishna. And many of you will know it because I must have sung it a lot, and we even Appa has done for maybe many of his concerts and all that. So in this song, we will see the three phases of life of Lord Krishna. So initially, it's like calling him who is a young boy, and as children, they're very mischievous and they do things what you don't want to, but you can't get too angry with them, so you have to go along with them. So that's the initial phase, and he's so naughty, okay? So when kids are naughty, I think, you can think of them, okay, Krishna was like that, so okay. So there's nothing wrong with my child. Now in the second phase, he's a youth. So I think he's in that phase, he's attracted by all the gopikas and Radha, who is the most important to
They
mention.
are attracted to him more than he is attracted to them.
They are attracted to them. So I think he kind of enjoys the company because, yes. So we have that, and then he battles with Kaliya and saves his village Gokul from Kaliya because the
also
snake.
The Govardhana
And the Govardhana. So there are many stories in that youth phase of Lord Krishna. And then finally, he's known as Yogeshwara Shri Krishna, who gives us the great Bhagavad Gita for us, which has, if I'm not mistaken, 18 chapters, and he talks a lot, and we correlate it a lot to yoga because it's very, how he has explained it is very essential in what it will correlate with yoga very well. So if we can know about this more in detail.
You see, in that composition, I very wantedly made it into three parts. So we sing Murali Gana Vinoda Mohana Krishna Kanna Niva Murali Gana Vinoda Mohana Krishna Kanna Niva Murali Gana Vinoda Mohana Krishna. This is the small baby Krishna. He's stealing butter, stealing hearts, and stealing the butter. And it is said when he was a very young kid, Kamsa finds out that Krishna has escaped. So he keeps sending various demons to go and destroy Krishna. And Putana, she comes in the guise of, taking care of the baby, tries to feed him poisonous milk. And instead she dies and Krishna lives. You have the Asuras, the demons, who come in the form of donkeys, horses, they come in the form of chariots, the wheels, as a tornado. So many demons come and they keep on getting killed by Krishna one by one. And a very beautiful story is when, Yashoda gets tired of Krishna and ties him up to the one of the things, the mortar and pestle. And he pulls this stone with him and goes and in between two trees, he breaks the trees and comes out. And these are actually, again, divine beings who are cursed to be trees. And there's a lot of this in Indian culture, that when the divine incarnation kills a demon, they are often liberating someone from a curse that made them a demon. So it's actually part of a much bigger perspective. And it is at that time that the young boys are playing, and the ball goes into the water of the lake where Kaliya has come and taken residence. And Kaliya has poisoned the lake, so the cows are dying and people cannot drink the water. And Krishna battles Kaliya at that time. And that is why we always talk about Kaliyanattanam Adiyapada, Kaliyanattanam Adiyapada, Kaliyanattanam Adiyapada. Murali Gana Vinoda Mohana Krishna. Because he has that ability to defeat Kaliya. Now, one of the very interesting things about Krishna is that even as a child, he's very precocious and there's a lot of talent. And all the animals love him. And this is one of the beauties of Krishna, is always associated with protecting animals, protecting people. And so there is the beautiful story where all the people in Gokul, in Vrindavan, they are worshipping Indra, the Lord of the heavens. And what happens is that Krishna says, why you are worshipping Indra? What does he do for us? You should worship the mountain Govardhan, which is there. And so they start to do that. Indra gets angry, sends a thunderstorm. And at that point, with his little finger, Krishna is seen to lift up. A very beautiful depiction we often do in dance. Govardhana Giridhara, one of those immortal, amazing compositions that Adiyar Lakshman sir had composed and taught us, and was my favorite to dance. Every performance I would dance it. And Krishna lifts up the Mount Govardhan with his little finger and gives refuge to the entire Gokula Vasis. The cow herds, the cows, the people, they all come and they take shelter from the rain and the thunderstorm created by Indra. Such miracles are attributed with Krishna. Now he goes into his youthfulness, where we talk about Gopika Priya Gopalani Radhayudanadu Manandane, Gopika Priya Gopalani Radhayudanadu Manandane, Mugundane Govindane Kalinganarthanam Adiyapada. So here he is playing with the Gopikas, and this is the time where you find him always playing the Murli Gana, the flute, the melody of the flute that captures the heart of all the Gopika Stris. And it is amazing because it is said that all the Gopika Stris love Krishna so much, and each one thinks they have Krishna with him at the same time. Because consciousness is alive in all of us. The Paramatma is Krishna. The Jivatma is the Gopika. So all the Jivatmas are experiencing the oneness with the Paramatma at the same time. And this is the magnificent of Krishna's lifetime. Because if you look at Rama Avatara, Rama never says, I am God. I am the divine. But Krishna again and again reminds people, I am God, I am the divine, I have come here, and he keeps on showing his Vishwarupa. When he is a baby, he is eating sand. And Yashoda says, hey, open your mouth, and in that mouth she sees the whole universe. These type of miracles are attributed with him, not with Rama. Rama is more the man, whereas Krishna is more the consciousness that is now reflecting the divinity. And that is the transformation in the evolutionary process Dashavatara gives us. So Krishna is at this stage, and this is where, the story of Krishna and Radha, we always say, Radhe Krishna. Radha Sameda Krishna, Krishna Radha Sameda Krishna, Nanda Kumar Navanita Chora, Nanda Kumar Navanita Chora, Vrindavana Govinda Murare, Vrindavana Govinda Murare, Radha Sameda Krishna, Radha Sameda Krishna. And this union that is found between Krishna and Radha, they never get married. He gets married to Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati. All of these stories you hear, but you never hear him getting married to Radha. And there's a question, why? And because Radha and Krishna are basically the one soul in two bodies. And it's a very beautiful concept. And always we talk about this love, and it is said when Krishna has to go back to Mathura to again become the king, he gives his flute to Radha. And he says, this flute was only for you. He says, from now on, it's not with me. And after that, you never hear of Krishna playing the flute. It's a very beautiful story that in his time in Vrindavan, that flute was there, and then he leaves the flute with Radha when he goes to Mathura and becomes the king. Now, once he becomes the king, there are so many stories coming. And one of them is the story of Shishupala. And Shishupala is born with 4 arms and 3 eyes and all. And it is said that the person who lifts the baby and the arms disappear is the person who's going to kill him. So all the relatives come and they have people lift the baby and the arms stay the same. Krishna comes and suddenly the arms fall away and the eyes become two. The mother gets scared. She says, I request you, Krishna, promise me you'll always forgive my son whatever mistake he does and not kill him. Krishna says, see, I cannot do that, but he says, I will give him 100 times, I will forgive him. 100 times. Shatam. 100 times I will forgive Shishupala. She says, okay, fine. He won't make so many mistakes. But as he grows up, Shishupala, along with his friend Rukmini, Rukmi, that is the brother of Rukmini, Rukmi wants Rukmini to marry Shishupala, but Krishna runs off with Rukmini. So Shishupala gets even more mad with Krishna. He keeps on insulting him whenever possible, and Krishna keeps on forgiving him. But then during the Rajasuya Yajna by Yudhishthira, they honor Krishna, and Shishupala says, how dare you honor this cowherd? Starts insulting. And that is the time where he crosses the 100, it becomes 101. And Krishna takes out the Sudarshan Chakra, cuts off his head. Now, when Krishna is going back, Dantabhakra is a friend of Shishupala. He attacks Krishna and he is also killed. Now, why am I talking of Shishupala and Dantabhakra? Because all these Dashavatara of Lord Mahavishnu, there are two characters who keep on coming back again, and they are Jaya Vijaya. So Jaya Vijaya, they are the doorkeepers, the twin doorkeepers at Vaikunta. And they are the doorkeepers for Lord Vishnu's Vaikunta. And it is said that Sanaka, Sanantana, Sanat Kumara and Santana, the four sons of Lord Brahma, they look like babies. They are also the disciples of Dakshinamurti, Shiva. But here they are as babies, they come and small kids, they look like small kids and they say, we want to say Vishnu. And these Jaya Vijaya don't realize they are great rishis and they say, Puda, get away. And these four young rishis get so angered, they curse them. And they say, you will be born on earth as human beings and struggle with the karma on earth. Then they realize what has happened and Vishnu tells them, these guys, they are just doing their duty. So please forgive. So they say, we will give you an option. We cannot take back the curse, we can modify it. Again, commonly in Indian stories, the curse cannot be taken back, but you can modify it. So they say, you will be born on earth. Either you can take 7 lifetimes as devotees of Vishnu, or 3 lifetimes as enemies of Vishnu. And they say, we'll take the 3 lifetimes. We want to come back to Vaikunta, be with Vishnu. We don't want to stay away from Vishnu too much. So they choose. So it is said that Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. These are the 2 avatars. The Hiranyaksha is killed by Varaha Avatara. Hiranyakashipu by Narasimha Avatara. They are the first time that Jaya Vijaya incarnated. So they are incarnated as Asuras, enemies of Vishnu. The next one is Ravana and Kumbhakarna. And then the last one is Shishupala and Dantabhakra. So Jaya Vijaya, after they are killed, when Shishupala and Dantabhakra are killed by Krishna, Jaya Vijaya have actually gone back to Vaikunta. And this is again that story within a story within a story, which is such a marvelous aspect of Indian culture, which often people from the Western perspective who are in single dimension, especially people in academics. You have all these universities like Oxford and others who are now offering courses in Indian culture based on a Western perspective. These are these modern scholars who try to understand yoga, understand India, Hinduism through a Western academic perspective, and they miss everything. They mess up everything by missing everything. Anyway, that's a different story. So, Shishupala. Now there's another story associated with Krishna, which is Sudama or Kuchela. So, young Krishna, he is a king, and he has Rukmini, Satyabhama and all. And then comes the story that this old friend of his from Gurukula days, they both studied in the same Gurukula. He comes to visit Krishna because his wife has said, your friend is a king, we are having nothing, no food to eat, the house is leaking, the kids don't have clothes, go to your friend and get something. And so he doesn't want to go, but he goes, and the wife in a torn cloth, she gives some dried rice, the aval puri. And it is said that when he comes to meet Krishna, Krishna runs down to meet him, hugs him, go on and Krishna washes his feet and massages him and puts him to rest and gives him all the food and all, and everything is going on. And then finally, after a few days of them talking and discussing everything, Sudama says, okay, I have to go back home. He doesn't want to ask Krishna, but Krishna knows. Krishna is the divine consciousness. So he says, I think you have brought something for me. Give it to me. And he is like, this is the king, the emperor, everything. What have I brought? And he finds and takes it. And he starts to eat it. He takes 1 handful, 2 handfuls. And then Rukmini stops him. She says, you have given him enough. Krishna has eaten. But Rukmini is telling Krishna, you have given him enough. Because she understands Krishna will give everything to Sudama or Kuchela. That is the friendship that Krishna has. One of those examples, best examples of friendship, Krishna and Sudama. And so Sudama, when he goes back home, his home is a palace, his wife, kids are amazingly dressed, everything is back to normal, a beautiful miracle of Krishna. So like this, many stories go on, Sudama, Kuchela and all that. And Krishna is a very important component of the whole Mahabharata. And he drives the Mahabharata with all of his, you could call it cunningness, you could call it intelligence, you could call it trickery, depending on how you perceive it. But the consciousness, divine consciousness has to manifest dharma because he is born for that. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyudana dharmasya tadadmanam shujanvaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He is born from time to time to bring back dharma, re-establish dharma. And that is why the Kurukshetra battle is the first day. When Krishna blows the conch, it is said at that time that the Kali Yuga starts. And in the Mahabharata, you have all these stories that go on. In the middle of it, my father used to say that the Bhagavad Gita was actually put into the Mahabharata to make sense of a senseless war. Because there's no sense in if you look at the Mahabharata, it is just everybody killing each other, backstabbing each other, and to bring sense into it, you have the Bhagavad Gita. And Arjuna, in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Arjuna goes into a panic attack. And he has sympathetic arousal. We have been talking about sympathetic arousal, heart beats, the BP goes up, the sugar goes up, and he starts to sweat, and he's like, I cannot fight, they are all my family. And at that time, Krishna gives the Bhagavad Gita. Now, I often think about this because the Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters, 700 verses. Now, that takes a long time even just to chant, let alone to explain from one person to another. And everybody is ready to fight. They're not going to wait. And I say this is the relativity of time that at that time, for what was like maybe 5 or 10 minutes for other people on that battlefield, Krishna and Arjuna went into a different loka where it was as if for months they were talking about the Bhagavad Gita. Because to understand the Bhagavad Gita, one needs months and months of deep contemplation. So it's a relativity of time. They went into a bubble, a time bubble, while others thought it was just 10 minutes or 2 of them talking in the middle of the battlefield. And the whole teaching of yoga, the essence of yoga, about 108 verses are there in the Bhagavad Gita, which is why Swamiji considered it a yoga shastra. I also consider it as a yoga shastra, and Krishna as Yogeshwar Krishna. People often think of the Bhagavad Gita as a religious scripture. I accept there is a lot of religion in it, but more importantly, there's a lot of yoga in it. It is a yoga shastra. It's a yogic scripture. And beautiful teachings are brought out in the Bhagavad Gita. For example, I'm sure you know the 2 very important definitions of yoga. What are they?
Yes, yoga karmashu kaushalam.
Absolutely.
And samatvam yoga.
So good. Divya, you have passed your exam. Huh? No, we didn't plan the shit.
What about dukkha samyam?
Absolutely. You have just got a distinction in your exam, gold medalist in your exam for that. Huh? I didn't tell her I was going to ask her that question.
No, this is only through your theory book and through all the exams that you keep in the state level Yogasana competition, which I hope will take place this year online.
We'll do something. Beautiful definition. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Yoga is harmonious balance, equilibrium, equanimity, homeostasis at all levels of existence. And yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga is skill in action, which is nishkama karma. It is the selfless, desireless, motiveless action that is done to the best of your ability, which is where the message comes. Do your best,
And
leave the rest, which is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And as you said, the third one, dukkha samyoga viyogam, because we have a tendency to attach to our suffering, my problem, my issue, my challenge, my life. And Krishna says you have to disentangle yourself from it. Dukkha is the suffering, the painful suffering, and you have gone and hugged it, samyoga, viyogam. You have to come away from it. Dukkha samyoga viyogam, yoga sangitam. Yoga is the disassociation from our tendency to unite with our suffering, to hold on to our suffering. I think this is one of the key elements in yoga chikitsa, yoga therapy, is to start to disentangle from your problem. Because as long as you are one with the problem, you are subjective. Only when you disentangle yourself, when you step back, which is what is vairagya. Vairagya is that objectivity where metacognition comes in and you can see your problem as it is, and instead of getting subjectively caught up in your problem, objectively you start to see the answer. You become someone who can see the solution rather than focus on the problem. These are teachings that Krishna gives us. Beautiful teachings on the gunas, beautiful teachings on jnana yoga, karma yoga, bhakti yoga. And recently, one of my dear students in New Zealand, she's taking up a course in academic circles. And when she said Bhagavad Gita talks about jnana yoga, karma yoga, and bhakti yoga, and they said you have to give academic references to it. To hell with such people. I'm sorry for using such language, but these are people who, if somebody has written an article, keep on quoting that nonsense until it becomes a reference, like Max Muller and all those idiots who were supposed to be Indologists. And you keep on quoting them again and again. The scriptures of India are the highest reference. Our Vedas are the highest reference. Our Upanishads are the highest reference.
Where we have the true essence in that, why do we
Absolutely.
have to have all
They
this?
want some person's academic digestion of it, and then you can quote it as a reference. I think one has to be very careful. The four streams of yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, you find these teachings, especially Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, very, very strongly in the Bhagavad Gita. And the concept of the gunas. The concept of you need to fulfill your swadharma. The highest dharma is the dharma to your own self. You have to lift yourself by yourself. Uddharet atma atmanam. Natmanam avasadaye. Do not depreciate yourself. Do not be, oh, I am no use, I have no friends, nobody likes me. All of that is nonsense. Natmanam avasadaye. Atmaiva atmahano bandhu. You are your best friend. When you understand yourself, you are your best friend. Atmaiva vipu atmanaha. You become your worst enemy when you don't know yourself. When you start to understand yourself, you become your best friend. You don't need any external support. Those are the teachings of yoga given by Yogeshwara Krishna. And that is why in the third part of the song, we have that. Premam vendum endra unai naadineen, ஞானம் வேண்டும் என்று உனை தேடினேன், பிரேமம் வேண்டும் என்று உனை நாடினேன், ஞானம் வேண்டும் என்று உனை தேடினேன், பிரேமையுடன் ஞானத்தை அளிக்கும் யோகேஸ்வரனே கிருஷ்ணனே, பிரேமையுடன் ஞானத்தை அளிக்கும் யோகேஸ்வரனே கிருஷ்ணனே, உபதேசம் செய்யவே அஞ்ஞானம் போக்கவே என்னை ஆளவே, உபதேசம் செய்யவே அஞ்ஞானம் போக்கவே என்னை ஆளவே, முரளி காண வினோத மோகன கிருஷ்ணா கண்ணா நிவா, முரளி காண வினோத மோகன கிருஷ்ணா. Beautiful concepts which are part of the culture. And of course, Krishna destroying Narakasura is also part of the story of Diwali.
Yes.
And so Narakasura, as he is destroyed, he asks Krishna, may the world celebrate my destruction. And so we have Diwali. And that is also part of it. All of these are ingrained into the cultural ethos. If someone doesn't understand the Indian cultural ethos, they will have such a warped perspective of these stories. Multi-layered stories. Metaphor within metaphor within metaphor. And when we talk about Krishna and Radha, and two souls in one, the ultimate soulmates, we are talking about that consciousness coming into human form when we talk about Krishna. The divine nada through that flute, the Murli Gana, captivating the heart. Such beautiful teachings. And the way Krishna relates with the animal, the way Krishna relates with other human beings, and the way Krishna teaches. Such evolved multi-perspectives you find in the same Krishna, dealing with each person as they need to. And I think this is one of the very great aspects of Krishna. And the only one person from whom actually Krishna begs is actually Karna in the Mahabharata. Krishna is always giving people. Because Karna at the end of his life, he will not die because his dharma is so strong. And Krishna comes in the guise of an old man and asks, can you give me all your dharma? Because by giving all that dharma that you have accumulated, that's the moment the soul can leave the body. Krishna.
So it's not the...
Well, everybody gets against Karna. Indra comes and takes away the Kavacha Kundala.
I think I'm confused
Yes,
with that.
his own mother Kunti comes and says, promise that you will not use the arrow more than once. Everybody will do one thing against him. He is the tragic hero of the Mahabharata, Karna, who is the eldest of the Pandavas, Shadavas it would have been or something, and lives for Dharma and dies for Dharma, which is why Krishna comes and asks him. And I think, whenever I think of Krishna, I have to think of N.T. Ramarao. N.T. Ramarao was this actor in Andhra Pradesh who later on became the chief minister, who played Vishnu and Krishna in so many movies. And in Maya Bajar, you see the person playing Krishna in that, and in so many movies he played it. He did such a role that you think of Krishna on screen, you think of N.T. Ramarao. You think of Shiva.
Maybe probably that's the face for people who haven't had any other source.
Absolutely. N.T. Ramarao became Krishna for so many people of a full generation. Like Lord Shiva and Shivaji Ganeshan. They were Shivaji Ganeshan, Lord Shiva, Savitri, Parvati. Whenever you talk about, Abhaya, it had to be K.B. Sundarambal. These are the iconic. And N.T. Ramarao plays the part of Krishna in Karna, that movie, and Shivaji Ganeshan as Karna. It's an amazing interaction. Ullathil nalla ullam murangadhenbadu. Beautiful song. Amazing song. And sung by Sirgari Govindarajan. It's much, much higher. Ullathil nalla ullam. It goes up there. That's how Sirgari used to sing. But N.T. Ramarao. And one of the things which comes out of that is a very interesting story. Krishna, how he used to play tricks. In the Mahabharata, you find all these tricks. One is that Duryodhana comes to Sahadeva. And because Sahadeva is very good at astrology. And he says, what is a good day to start the battle so I will win? And Sahadeva says, you start on Amavasya, new moon. And everybody's like, seriously, you have just told the enemy when to start so he can win. And so they tell to Krishna, he says, no problem, I'll take care. So, a day before the Amavasa, what happens is Krishna is found doing all his Tarpana. Tarpana is what they do on Amavasya for their departed souls. And everybody's confused. This is not Amavasya, why is Krishna doing it? And the sun and moon, they get very confused. They are like, seriously, we come together, that sun and moon come together, that is the energy of Amavasa. They say, we come together on Amavasa and Krishna is doing it now. What is this? So the sun and moon come down to where Krishna is doing the Tarpana. And they say, what are you doing? Today is not Amavasa. And Krishna says, well, what is Amavasa? They say the day when the sun and moon come together. He says, now both of you are here together. So today is Amavasa. And so he changes the whole calendar so that Duryodhana is starting on a wrong day and not on Amavasa. Another story is like when Arjuna has to avenge Abhimanyu's death, and they have protected Jayadratha so well They are not able to do anything. And suddenly Krishna makes it look like it's dusk. Everybody relaxes. In that moment, Arjuna kills the enemy. So many of these Maya are brought out by Krishna because, again, as I said, Rama as a human being never says, I'm God. Krishna keeps on doing these miracles. He keeps on saying, I am the divine. And he keeps on giving that Vishwarupa Darshana. So many times he gives the Vishwarupa Darshana, including to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. But one of the most famous things which I remember about the Bhagavad Gita is that this whole teaching was given by Lord Krishna to Arjuna at the beginning of the war. At the end of the war, Arjuna tells Krishna, you see, many of those things I don't remember. Can you teach me again? And Krishna says, no, time has changed. That was the teachable moment. That was the moment where teaching could occur. Now we have moved past it. It cannot reoccur again. Such a beautiful lesson for that teacher-student relationship. There are teachable moments, and both the student and the teacher must be alert for that teachable moment. Otherwise, the teachings will not happen. Nowadays, we think that I have paid the fees, so you teach me, or I've joined your course, so now teach me. And that is such a ridiculous consumeristic attitude. That is not the attitude of Guru Shishya Parampara. And there are teachable moments where the teachings happen. We must be alert for that. Such beautiful messages from the life of Lord Krishna.
So maybe we should end with one of your compositions, Kannani Baba.
Why not?
Yes, that's another favorite one, and we have sung it a lot again. And yes.
Kanna Nivava, Kanmunne Vava, Kanna Nivava, Kanmunne Vava, Kamalapadam Vaitini, Yenodane Adava, Kanna Nivava, Kanmunne Vava, Kamalapadam Vaitini, Yenodane Adava, Kanna Nivava. Nirajasamanitra Nigila Lokanadane, Nirajasamanitra Nigila Lokanadane, Nayamig Palanatanam, Adidum Gopalane, Nirajasamanitra Nigila Lokanadane, Nayamig Palanatanam. Madidum Gopalane, Govindane, Gopalane, Mukundane, Shri Krishnane, Govindane, Gopalane, Mukundane, Shri Krishnane, Kannani Baba.
Niyamiga Kuchelane,
Adavita Nanbani, Niyamiga Kuchelane. ஆதரித்த நண்பனே தாசன்ன ஜுணனுக்கு உபதேசம் தந்தவனே தாசன்ன ஜுணனுக்கு உபதேசம் தந்தவனே விட்டலனே விட்டலனே பாண்டுரங்க விட்டலனே 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 பாண்டுரங்க விட்டலனே கண்ணாணி பாபா மல்யுத்த சூரர்களை வதைத்த வீரனே மல்யுத்த சூரர்களை வதைத்த வீரனே கதறி அழுத கரியனை காத்தவனே கதறி அழுத கரியனை காத்தவனே வேணுகானலோலனே கோபிகாபியானந்தனே வேணுகானலோலனே गोपिकाप्रियानन्दने गोविन्दने गोपालने मुकुन्दने श्रीकृष्णने गोविन्दने गोपालने मुकुन्दने श्रीकृष्णने विठ्ठलने विठ्ठलने पाण्डुरङ्ग विठ्ठलने 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 पाण्डुरङ्ग विठ्ठलने 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 पाण्डुरङ्ग विठ्ठलने Kannani Baba.
So that was a nice way to end it, and so I hope Krishna is happy and he won't play tricks on us at least for a few days. Well, we need that because from those tricks and all that we learn a lot, and we never know where the destiny and what is meant for us to happen. So maybe just think that it'll be for our good in some way or the other, and we should do our best, as we had heard from Dr. Sir, that we do our best and then we leave the rest to God. Isn't that the natural thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So just keep going, and we'll be having the Tell Me Appa episodes coming up, and we have more to come. So don't think that we are ending only with Shiva. We do have their important people who, like the gods, okay, but then we had people who were their disciples or really enthusiastic devotees of these gods. So we might have some, like for example, Hanuman, we must have for Lord Vishnu. Well, in particular, it will be Lord Rama. But then for Shiva, we have.
We'll be bringing out many of the Nayanmas, stories
Yes.
of the Nayanmas.
Which are worth knowing actually, because we might not know so many of them in detail, and it's a good platform and a good place and a good time to know all of this and learn more about it.
I
And
think also the Navagrahas.
yes,
We have to think of the Navagrahas and Ashtakutpalakas and these type of concepts which are often missed. We'll definitely go into many of them.
yes. So we will keep going, and we have in the week we have our wonderful Wednesdays and Twinkling Thursdays and Scintillating Saturdays. And the Psychic Neurologic course is really on the upswing now, and 2 classes done, but we are waiting for the 10 more, which is a lot of effort for the Guru and for the Shishya. So we should keep going, and the correspondence course is going to take place, and that's a must knowing and a must doing thing. So do it right now or know it right now. That is, do it now, din and kin. Isn't that the message that we had in one of our episodes in the first season 1 of Tell Me Appa? So we better catch it when the opportunity comes, because opportunity knocks the door only once, and it's not going to come back just because you're pleading with it. So thank you, and we'll be back next week with more interesting tales, and hope you all enjoy it. And we have many new ideas coming up, and probably some new more series coming up, because we have auspicious times coming up. So keep supporting and keep loving and keep blessing. And what more do we need? Thank you.
Namaste.